Okay. Good morrow, scholars. Welcome to what I'm going to be calling Zombie Survival Awareness Week, where, like the name implies, hopefully the shirt will be readable when I upload this. It says zombie. And, yeah. Anywho, so, this is just a fun little thing I just now thought about doing. And I discuss what I feel would be important topics to discuss, or, well, to get out there in case of zombie apocalypse situations going on. Um, my brother was supposed to be over here asking certain questions so that I have something concrete to discuss. So, um, since he decided to go get something to eat, hopefully not brains, I'll go ahead and tell you how I think you should react to zombie apocalypse announcement, I suppose, or however it may end up being. Now, a lot of people would think immediately go to the nearest grocery store or maybe even like a hardware store or Home Depot, Lowe's, what have you. I say wait 2 weeks, a week to 2 weeks, and inside your home, barricade as much as you can, and fill up every single container that you have in your house with water so that you have enough water and then you can just eat the food that you have at your home already. Now, the reason for this is that one, it's too dangerous to go out in riot situations under normal circumstances. So imagine how bad it would be if it were a zombie apocalypse and everyone has a gun or a knife or something to defend themselves or just to attack people. Two, chances are you're not going to get there before hundreds of other people do. Remember, the nearest grocery store to you is also the nearest grocery store to hundreds, if not thousands, of people, depending on where you live. The best thing to do is, like I said, to wait about 2 weeks, or as long as you can, with the stores that you have, stores of food rather than like a grocery store, and then continue fortifying the home until you have no choice but to leave. Now, if you're separated from your family during this time, do not call them. Text them. I like that I still have my thumb up. But text them because if you try and call them, that's going to be so many people trying to call each other that the phones won't be able to handle it. But the text messages would be much easier to get through. Let's see. Set up ahead of time a rendezvous point where if, let's say, you have a family member that's on the other side of town the day that it happens, and you're at home, so that they know where they can go to meet up with you, and then depending on who gets there first, they can start preparing either fortifications for that location or preparing that location to have everything that's there packed up and moved out when you get there. Another reason you want to stay indoors for the first 2 weeks is because there are going to be so many people shooting and attacking. Even if they know they're not zombies, they're going to be trigger happy, and there's going to be a lot of people just killing for the sake of killing because they finally get to. Well, I'm sure there wouldn't be a lot of people, but there'd be too many to really risk it. And truthfully, there's going to be so many people panicking, and I mean, tramplings happen at the best of times, which is to say, the worst of times. So imagine how bad it would be when there's actually danger exacerbating the mob mentality, we'll call it. Now, another thing, if you look around your home, chances are you'll have something that you can use to defend yourself with, even if you don't own a gun, which I don't because I don't particularly like guns. However, my dad, he has four. And I'm sure a lot of you think, I know a bunch about zombies. I've played games, I've watched like The Walking Dead, or maybe even Shaun of the Dead, or, all those other things. And you think, I just need like a sword, I need semi-automatic rifle of some kind or a shotgun, stuff like that. Truthfully, you don't need too much because depending on the zombies, if they're the Romero style zombies, really all you need is like a decent enough shovel. You can either jab it into their face and that'll like destroy enough of their brain that hopefully you can sever the brainstem, or just knock them over and run your way through them, because it's going to take them a minute to get back up, hopefully, that you can, instead of wasting energy trying to kill them, just knock them out of your way and keep going. You'll save on strength for when you need it. Another thing, most swords that you might have, should you have some, I have a bunch. Chances are they're not going to be battle ready, although it'll say, if you bought it online, it'll say battle ready in bold-faced letters. Well, it's a bold-faced lie. And I like going like this. I don't know why. At best, they're going to get stuck in a skull or, wherever you happen to stab. At worst, they're going to shatter on impact. Now, I have a couple of weapons here, and I was hoping that I would find my axe, because that's really what you want. You want like a hatchet. Something that's meant for chopping wood would be excellent, like, an axe. Hatchets are nice because they're smaller, but they would bend easier. But they're built for taking a real beating. Another good weapon to have would be, if you were proficient at it and had really good aim, a pickaxe would be nice. I know that Max Brooks, the writer of The Zombie Survival Guide and World War Z, the movie was okay, but the book was way better. He, as a weapon, would choose a machete, which, as you can see, I have one here to give you a rough estimate of just how big the thing is. Now, this one I wouldn't recommend using. It's really just a prop. You might recognize it except for the blackness going down the middle as the machete used by Billy in the movie Predator. Although we didn't really get to see him use it. That was really sad. Another thing I have here is a lot of either big strong guys like Michael, or people who just really like knights. They would want something like this. It's a single-handed longsword. And while this would be really cool to have and use, unless you've had training with it for going on 20 years, you're really not going to take anything out. At best, you could hope for is like to just jab it through the eyes like this, but considering using it as a sword like you would see in movies, don't try it. Another thing you could do is swing it and hopefully knock somebody out with this here, or just use the pommel and just bash stuff heads in. Now here's the number one thing that people would think of in a zombie apocalypse, and for a while, me too, and I know that The Walking Dead had a lot to do with this because of the character Michonne, so you know what's coming up. But, a katana. Now, if you can find an actual katana, like, just because it's shaped like one doesn't make it a katana. I mean, this one's nice and all, and it looks very pretty, but it's not going to stand up to anything short of a dummy. And even that might break it. You want something that's forged steel, and you can tell the difference because here, let me try and get a close-up. Okay. Can you see those little wavy lines towards the top? Those are put there in the sword making process for displays to give it that look of a fire forged steel rather than pressed stainless steel. And so you want something that's actual good quality steel, preferably high carbon, but not so high that it'll become brittle. You want to go for a minimum of about, shoot, which one is it? A minimum, I think it's about 260, high carbon steel. if you can afford it, get some spring steel because it's like 550 or 50 55 carbon steel, because that's really good quality and it'll last you quite a while, provided you take care of it. That's another thing that the movies and shows don't show you, is that you've got to take care of these weapons. If you just keep swinging haphazardly, you're going to break it. But if you had the proper training, like for a katana, you need to swing it as you would a fishing rod. A machete, kind of the same way, but you need to be more, I guess, rigid about it, I would say. Now, like I said earlier, I don't have a gun, but I do love Nerf. So this will be a stand-in for a gun. So pretend this is, what would you call it, a sawn-off shotgun? Now, if you were to use a gun, you need to have a gun that you can actually use. Let's say you had an actual shotgun. How many of you could actually fire it without it blasting itself out of your hands? Not many. Like, I wouldn't be able to. I know for a fact I wouldn't be able to. It would definitely take off my nose or something. Even a pistol has a lot of kickback to it. And that's another thing. Try not to use pistols for like long range. I know it's fun in like games such as Halo or maybe even Call of Duty. Is that what it's called? I don't know. Oh, Adam came back in case you were wondering. Hi, Adam. Anyway, that's not really going to be any sort of useful because, okay, I know that there are a lot of people and they can use pistols. They go to the gun range and, you know, they do all this stuff. Well, when you're aiming for a moving target, you take the maximum distance that you can hit a stationary target and then you cut it in half. And that'll be the outer limit of your effective firing range. Now, cut that in half, and that's the range that you want to be in for, you know, targets moving and coming at you to aim for. Anything past that is too far away to risk it, because no matter how good a shot you are, something's going to happen. You really want a pistol for close range where you can get it up to their heads and then pull the trigger. But you got to be careful because the splatter might get in your face, your eyes, and it, depending on the zombies, infect you. So that's something to be on the lookout for. Let's see. Is there anything else I need to discuss for this first episode? Any ideas, Adam? I've talked about how, you know, stock up on water the first day, just fill up everything. I've talked about how you need to stay indoors for about 2 weeks. Use up the stores of food that you have in your home already. Set up a rendezvous point through text messaging or even beforehand. Like, you know, talk to your friends, family, who you would want with you. Tell them, okay, if it doesn't even have to be zombies. Say, in case of like a tornado or an earthquake and you guys are separated. That way you won't be seen as so weird. Because preparing for a zombie apocalypse would actually benefit you in really any disaster situation, whether you live in an area with earthquakes or flooding or landslides. Yeah, it's really quite helpful because I guess the preparations are pretty much universal. And it's something fun to get everybody to consider, you know, like everyone wants to think about zombies. Let's see. I talked about weapons, you know. Might want these just because they look cool. That is to say, the longsword. A katana, because who doesn't want a katana? A machete. Axes. I've talked about how in the early hours or days of a zombie apocalypse, the biggest danger would come from other people. People who think they're Rambo, or people who are just too scared to pay attention to whether or not you're alive. Or people who just want to kill people for the sake of killing because there's no one who can stop them. So yeah, I think that would be a good first episode for like what I'm calling, or this what I'm calling, Zombie Survival Week. Now, I was going to do a video yesterday, but it was Sunday. and it didn't seem appropriate. So this will be a 5 day, yeah, 5 day thing. So today's Monday, right? Okay. So I'll have one up tomorrow. I'll have one up Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, and I'll try and set up something I can do maybe on Saturday before I go to work. Until next time, everybody. Dang it. Until next time. Bye, everybody.